Fresh season introduced us to a new salmon run map called Bonerattle Arena. When it was announced, Nintendo stated that this would be the final salmon run map for Splatoon 3. To me, this meant that they had to deliver, and I had high hopes for this new stage. So in this video, I will review Bonerattle Arena. I will talk about its layout, how it plays, and finally, if it lived up to my expectations as the final map in Salmon Run Next Wave. Let's start off with the layout and overall gimmick of Bonerattle Arena. The map itself is quite small compared to the other original stages in this game. However, I've found that this isn't too problematic because pretty much every wall is inkable and there are a ton of ink rails to help with navigating the map. Speaking of ink rails, those things are everywhere and they're the best way to move around in almost every situation. They're versatile and are always in really useful spots. For example, I love the rails parallel to the grates on normal and high tide. They're easy to access and very useful to avoid the grates. I know some people really hate the grates on Bonerattle, and I definitely understand that perspective, but I actually like them because they subtly add difficulty to the stage and incentivize players to use rails as a better, more efficient option. Without them, I think Bonerattle would feel a bit too easy. On low tide, the layout is really unique compared to what we usually see. Here, the basket area is quite small and it's separated from where the bosses spawn. But there are a ton of rails to help players cross that gap quickly, and some small grates to let the salmonids come through. On Bonerattle, the basket is placed closer to the middle when it's usually at the base of the map. This forces you to pay attention to your surroundings, since bosses spawn from everywhere and not just in front. Overall, I like Bonerattle's layout a lot. It's very different compared to other maps, and that uniqueness makes you think more about how to play and approach games, which stops the mode from feeling monotone. At first, I was a bit nervous about this map, but I think it turned out great, and the ink rails are a perfect gimmick for a stage like this. So, Bonerattle Arena's layout seems to have no major flaws. But how does it play? What is it like to actually be on the map? Now I'm gonna talk about how Bonerattle plays and share a few things I've learned about it so far. The first thing you do on this map is paint the walls. As I mentioned earlier, Bonerattle Arena is a pretty small map, so it's very important to be able to easily get out of bad situations and regain high ground to survive. Sometimes you can't reach an ink rail and you have to climb a wall to escape, and if those walls aren't painted, you're dead. This is extremely important for mobility and survival, so take the time before every wave to make sure the walls and ground are painted. When it comes to bosses, you need to be careful about luring. Those grates around the basket are basically funnels for most of the lureable salmonids, and killing in the middle of grates is usually a big no-no. It just makes it really annoying and time-consuming to get those eggs to the basket because you can't swim or regain ink quickly, but you still have the option to jump to the rails to help you out. The best option you have for luring is as close to the basket as possible, but if you want a safer option, you can choose to lure bosses near ink rails or somewhere where it would be easy to throw the eggs directly into the basket. This map has a lot of egg throwing spots to take advantage of. Those grates near the basket do get dangerous though because of what I call the Marooner's Bay effect, where bosses who take up a lot of space will block the whole path. Thankfully, they're actually avoidable here thanks to the ink rails, but it's good to make sure it doesn't get too crowded. That basket area is quite small, so you need to be able to move around and not die, which is why fish sticks are a massive threat here. They need to be killed because they're even more annoying and threatening than usual. But the good thing is that their spawns make it easy for even short-ranged weapons to kill them. Also, I can't stress this enough, use the ink rails. If you've been following me for any amount of time, then you know that I'm a chronic drowner. So trust me, I know they're hard to use. But they're really helpful and you're doing a disservice to yourself if you avoid them. They're super useful not only to navigate the map, but also to get to the shore easier, refill your ink tank, heal, quickly deliver eggs, get out of situations where you'd otherwise be stuck, and more. The map design clearly wants you to use them. By using ink rails, you'll naturally get better, and honestly, they're really fun even if you're bad at them. However, I do have a complaint about Bonerattle, and it's that shore bosses are very hard to deal with. Due to the map being quite small in general, things get crowded fast at that lower level, and it can be hard to get through the hordes of salmonids that take up so much space. Because of this, I really recommend not going to the shore alone, unless no more salmonids are spawning from that spot. You'll most likely need assistance from a teammate to help with lesser salmonids, because they're hard to kill when you're already dealing with multiple flyfish. To be honest, Bonerattle Arena feels really good to play on. The layout is great and the Inkwell gimmick is done incredibly well. The only things to keep in mind is to have the map and its walls painted to ensure mobility and survival, and also to be careful when dealing with shore bosses. But as long as you have those small things in check, this map is super fun and always a good time. I think it's safe to say that Nintendo didn't disappoint with Bonerattle Arena. It's genuinely my favorite feature from this new season, and it's not even close. It does make me sad to think that this is the last Salmon Run map. I feel like Salmon Run has the best designed stages in the entire game, but I will say that I'm satisfied. Most of the maps are fantastic, and the bad ones are only really bad because they were made for the easier, less complex variation of this mode. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think of Bonerattle Arena and how many times have you drowned in front of your whole team so far. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your way out, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.